Yeah. What's good? It's be the G Shaw Cypher. You officially tune in to On the Grind Live, and we support anybody out there is grinding in any capacity. It don't matter what the grind is. We just want to make sure if you want to talk about it, we here for you to talk about it. Shout out to everybody that's always been supporting us and what we doing on a daily basis. And right now, the mantra. If you see me, you see good people, you see dope people, you see all kinds of people from different eras of life, different entrepreneurships and things like that. And this time we doing it with somebody that's definitely different. Ethan, what's good, my G? What's going on?
Nothing much. How's it going with you?
Man, listen, I appreciate you tuning in with us. You get what I'm saying, and taking your time out and things like that. Tell the people where you from, and kind of give us a background of that city.
Yeah. So I'm from Richmond, Utah. The state of a small town, but a good way to describe it. Just a small town.
Yeah.
I've been here for almost 7-8 years.
Right.
And for the past, like almost 9 now that I've been making films here for. I don't know. I'm 21 now, which is crazy to me, but I say overall it's been pretty great.
What got you into the film scene of things?
Well, it all started with a school of mine that I went to. It's called Fast Forward. It was a high school / charter school. It was like in the both, and one of the schools I had it was film. And I'm at the beginning, I didn't think of being a filmmaker. In fact, like I came in here actually become a comic book writer, right? And then like as soon as I started doodling with that class, it just didn't click with me that well. And then when I saw this film production, I'm like, you know what? It's a like elective point at one point. So I went to it, and that's how I've kind of met it. I've only started clicking with it when I was in maybe the third semester of my freshman, when the videos just started rolling in and started getting the love, and I'm like, okay, I can dig this. And then as soon like I've been making films for 7 years now, and it just ever since I had this film partner named Devin, and he kind of just took me under the ropes. He showed me how to make a film. He told me how to edit, and with the teacher added, his name was Andy Lormer, one documentary maker, and he just showed me like how to use the tools and how to work with directors, actors, certain things like that.
Right.
And it was just one of those things. Like it was at that point I'm like, I want to do this, because as soon as I developed my craft and like put my skill into it, it just became a monumental thing for me to become like, you know what, this is something I can do for the rest of my life, because it's just not only is it something that like I can see a future in, but like at the same time it's just like it's something that brings my whole world into a new perspective.
Right.
But if someone was just telling me to go to college, pick a skill there, and just do whatever, but this one was like an early spark that I'm like, you know what, no college, but just grind until we work hard, right?
Yeah, definitely. So let me ask you this, like, from a film perspective, did you feel like, once you got into it, this was something that became the gift that you always had? You just had to explore it more and really perfect it more? Or did you feel like, okay, this is something I know I can dive in and eventually become my passion? Like, once you started to get into it, do you feel like, okay, this is my purpose?
Yeah. See, because my most powerful thing on filmmaking I do is my storytelling, and I've always been a storyteller since I was a kid, right? I would make believe games. I would make stories and like come up with these like crazy, wild, like fantasies. And then ever since, like I've said, I mentioned the film, it's like my creative little, like what's in my mind is now being like not only being transparent with in my film, but like it shines through. And like you just said, yeah, I think like filmmaking has been a passion for me. I wouldn't say like ever since I was a kid, but like with big thanks to film though, like it helps my storytelling to become more, like I've said, like more inviting. Like
right.
instead of me just like daydreaming and just let a day go by, I'm like, why not present my daydream to everyone? See what,
Right.
invite people what is inside my mind, you know?
Right.
Like if I was to make a comedy, which I do like mostly all genres really. I make comedies, horrors, dramas, even
I was
romance.
gonna ask you that, like, what type of movies that you generally do. But okay, so you got comedies, you got horrors, you got okay. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, and then like I've said before, like it's just because since I have such a daydreaming mindset, like I've daydreamed something comedy, something romantic, and I'm like this. I gotta put this in a story somewhere, and
Right.
then when I met film, it's just like those coexisted, and like it was a very like inciting and inspiring thing to see, for sure. Like so, like when I like my latest comedy film I made, which is called it was a like a role. It was like a 1980s infomercial style. It was a story how one guy got rejected, and there was this magical bottle that makes people like fall in love, right? But we did it in such a funny 1980s style. Was and it was so simple, but yet it was so like it was very motivating, I guess, like in a sense, like
Right.
so in the grand scheme of things, like it's definitely was a big transparent. Like if I look back into my like early like beginning to filmmaking days, those generation like those like comparing to what it is now, I can say for sure like I could say the passion has definitely grew and definitely like got me farther than I thought it would, because it was like so I would so to answer your question, I guess like I wouldn't say I like grew with this passion, but I'm glad it did. Like I'm glad I got into that passion of mine, and I'm glad it took me far than I thought it would, and I'm glad it teaches me that I can go more than just a hobby. That if I want, I can go.
I mean, that's a good thing about it. I mean, like you said, film is something that you can do for the rest of your life, right? Film is something that you can dive into different types of different types of films and editing and things like that. You can do music videos if you want it. You get what I'm saying? Like there's just different types of ways you can utilize, especially with the era of content management. You know what I mean? Content, so what is your process and when do you decide what type of movie you get ready to do at that time? And then when you decide the type of movie you get ready to do, what is your casting process?
See, that's just also one of those things like I to answer that question, I go into this little mindset like if I find something, I don't know, like it's again with my like how I daydream is like if I daydream something like comedic, I'm like, okay, let's explore this, and then my process for that is just like, okay, I want to make a comedy. Okay, a comedy about what? And I'm like, let's make a comedy about an apple hitting Isaac Newton, for example, right? And then the comedy for it was Isaac Newton, like maybe like after when he woke up from hitting in his head, he just sees two apples, and then he goes on a spree to tell us that everything is all in double, not in singular, and find a way to make a comedy thing work. So it's basically it's just a happenstance sort of situation. Like I remember I was working I work at a job. It's called Big Deal Outlet. It's like this like distribution store. That's what I kind of do to get myself financed to film projects. And like every time I do some like films and stuff, like in my head I'm like exploring dialogue, right? Is like, okay, this guy said I want to become a millionaire. What happens after this story, you know? And that's why it kind of goes into my mind, you know, the momentum of that creative starts growing. And then after when I decided, okay, I want to make a comedy, I want to make it like a very physical slapstick comedy. And usually the casting is kind of depends. Like I go with my friends because my friends are awesome. Like just call them like, hey, I got this project for you. I got this project. This is great. Like, let's just make this happen, right? And I'm very fortunate to have those friends. But if I happen to not, I also am in this Facebook group called Utah Film Association, and it helps us like directors, producers, and other stuff like that to like find cast, find crew, just in case if I'm going to be in the director's chair and I don't have time to be on the like camera side of things, I would hire one of those and just like, you know, take the weight off of it if I can't handle it.
Right. Yeah, you know what? And that's. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, like, so it really just depends. It really does depends, like, what I go for. Like, if, for example, like, I'm actually thinking of making a comedy film of myself. It's called Who Am I? It's about this character that's that is like a failed actor, and he accidentally gets mixes up an audition for a mafia family, and throughout this whole story he's going to figure out like all of this is real, all the mafia stuff is real. It's not an audition, it's not a movie, it's not a play, it's actually happening. And the moment he finds out is the moment he gets in deep trouble, right? And like, and the funny thing part of it too is like, before that whole thing he thinks they're just actors, they're things just cameras on oversized. So it was like, you know, it's again like to the point, to make a point of this, it's just like what I'm going for, you know, what I want to convey at the story.
Yeah, and you know, the storytelling is important, right? I mean, you can do it in all types of facets. Yeah, I do it from a music perspective, you do it from a film perspective. And it's you know, and then you get a chance to bring different likes of people and put them in a situation, and really give them, you know, you're actually giving people you know, dreams that they want to follow, right? So for you it's the filmmaking, for them it could be the acting, or it could be the behind the scenes, it could be the editing and things like that. So you know, how important was that? You know, did you feel any of that when people started to, you know, gravitate to your films, or really come to you and say, yeah, I want to be, you know, part of your process?
Yeah, like I said, well, I was going to ask you a question about how your music thing works, like how that impacts you, but well, I guess I'll answer with that.
Yeah, I'll answer that after, no problem.
So I think it was about, I think 2018, 2020, I could vary, and we had this school project of like making one, like a technical crew, and I had to make a song video for Queen, for example, for my project. And I thought, like, let's make something that's totally abnormal, something random, right? So I decided, you know what, let's make, like, that was at the time where Avengers Infinity War came out. And I had this song, Another One Bites the Dust, and I just, when I was like processing this, right, and then when that song chorus, like, another one bites the dust, and then every time they say that, like, all the Avengers turn to dust, and when I brought those two together and I had that presented, I just saw this reaction, this amazing emotion, like, whoa, that was really good. Or like there's some people that haven't seen it yet. They're like, I haven't even seen the show yet. So so it was so and like while I was watching this and while I was like listening to this, I was like that's when I was realizing too, it's like the power of like art, like
Right.
my art, your art.
Right.
And just from that point there, it's just not only did that moment show what like how the power of like what I do like as a filmmaker, because there's other instances. Like I remember going, I was making like a broadcast where a horseman is a president for some reason, and it was at the time where COVID was a thing, and I had to make people aware of it, right? And then it was at that point, right, where I think I've heard of it somewhere that the president also got COVID. I was like, yo, let's right.
Yeah.
So I guess like so it is in a like not only did it influences me, but it influences people like I've seen people like I make films for people and I can see their reactions and their emotions just become fresh. Like if I made a drama film with as a ambassadorship, and I got that into my movie theater when I was like I think 18 years old, and
Okay.
and I just see people's like big reaction. I've seen them laughing at the same time. I've seen them like gasp, and I'm like, that's amazing, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's what I was like thinking too. It's just like not just like being as filmmakers do this, like all rappers as well, like
Right.
just sing.
Right.
Oh, like we just do it different, and like
Right.
the fact
Right. Right.
that I found my own way of doing it was super inspiring. It was something like very cool.
I would tell you, like, for me, from a music perspective, you know what I mean? My goal is to make sure that I impact you emotionally some way, shape, or form. Right. So every time I write a song, I'm either gonna make you mad, I'm gonna make you upset, I'm gonna make you happy, I'm gonna make you want to jump up and down and have some fun, I'm gonna make you cry. If I accomplish that, you know what I'm saying? Or it's the biggest thing is really to be relatable, right? Like sometimes it's hard to do that, you know what I mean, for everybody, but once you get an audience and then they start to gravitate towards that music, then there's always something on there for them. So, musically for me, it's more like being able to have some substance and tell a story, right?
Yeah,
And you gotta do it from a point where it's just all sound. And what I mean, until you get to a point where you can have a music video. But if you can grab them from the sound, by the time they get to the music, the video is just like the final touches, because now you can see what I'm saying, right?
yeah, sure.
But I'm gonna try to get you to see what I'm saying in the song, to visualize it. I like telling stories, right? I have storyline songs, so I definitely understand that, um, and feel that on a daily basis. Um, when you're doing your movies, um do you ever have somebody come to you and say, hey, I got a dope idea for a movie, and you take the time to listen to it and actually say, you know what, let's go ahead and try it? Like,
Yeah.
have you?
You know what? I did. I was working with this one girl. Her name was Madison Wood. She was a person from Franklin, Idaho, and I met her like a day, maybe 2 days, and like we got the ball rolling. And then I mentioned to her, I make films, I make Hollywood, and she checked out my work and stuff, and she's like, "Yo, I got this project, right?" And it was a far different project from what I've ever done. And it
Right.
was a interview, like those like interview like you and me are doing, but like it was a very in person project for her. I think it was a beauty pageant program. Like it was a young woman's thing. It was called Distinguished Young Woman. That's what it
Okay.
was. And basically they take like this like group of young women and they just teach them like leadership skills, business stuff, and all that. And it was just like, and then she was like, okay, I got this cool song for you. I got this cool photos and videos. Just tell me what you think, you know, and how do you want to go about this? And I'm like, okay, let's see it. And then she was like, I was hoping to get something like to bring people in and bring like immersing them into like my side of the story. So as soon as I got home and listened to it, because here's the thing is, I don't know what your process is for music when someone hits you with the dope ideas, but
Right.
on my interview, like on my filmmaking ideas, I'm like, give me a minute, let me think about this. Let me like, you know, sometimes it happens in the instance because I'm like, okay, that sounds hype, let's do it. But sometimes it's like one of those things, like, okay, let me think about this. Like, this is not my particular
Some time.
forte.
Right.
Yeah, and usually it's most of the time, yeah, because it's just like I wanted to help bring your story to life, but at the same time, like also at the same time, I'm like, let me see what other like other how I can tell your story
Right. Right.
because there's some people that will ask you for the impossible. Like I've been asked a couple times, like, hey, can you make Iron Man movies? Yeah, I'm like, hold up,
Not
hold up.
yet.
I just learned how to make a like a crime thriller, and
Right.
now
Right.
you're asking me to make something visual effects. And I'm like, okay, give me a minute, give me a minute.
Right.
So yeah, so to back on the story too, it says after when I got done with this interview, and this one trails back to the like couple questions about how it influences and impacts people. As soon as I got that interview done and I sent it to her, she just told me that not only did I like highlighted her and her side of the story and how she liked DYW, but I also be like representing the program itself. So like I got the best of both worlds when I had one intention of just highlighting her. So it was like what you said too. It was like you make like music that like makes people mad, but also like hype, but also that
Right.
and
Right.
make them relatable. And so like so like I said before too, it's like you can if you can visualize what's like the thing, that's what the
Mhm.
whole ball game. Like I even think that music such as yourself, that like when you listen to a beat, you can visualize what you want to say, or like
Right.
okay,
Right.
I can see.
Yeah. 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 It's you know, music would do that. You know what I mean? It'll sometimes I come up with it right away, right? Like it just hits you. I come up with it right away. Sometimes I gotta sit on it for a couple of days. Or it might not be the time for me to do it, right? And like, yo, I'm gonna sit this right here and I'll come back to it. When I come back to it, then it flows. You get what I'm saying? So for you, what do you feel like is the biggest lesson you've learned in this business so far? You've been doing it, what do you say, for how many years you've been doing it so far? And out of that time?
My seven will be marked September, so in almost 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the question again? So I kind of
What do
just
you
like
feel? No worries. What do you feel like is the biggest lesson you've learned in the seven
I
years you've been doing this?
I think the great thing is be like make mistakes like no matter how crazy your ideas are, just put them on paper. Like I know because I like YouTube these days or like even Spotify, even stuff, they're just following the same category. Like for example, we had like very house pop songs like and then people just follow that trail, right?
Right.
And I was and I did like in YouTube it had like videos of like how to make stuff work or for example like streaming videos that made like you got to sit them face to face. It was comedy, but it wasn't like they weren't telling stories and they weren't making like emotions hit like because like at the end of the day like you looked at like I look at like Logan Paul for example like he just makes tons of videos but yet it's not to me this doesn't seem like I'm immersed like I don't want to get into it because it's like why would I because it just like doesn't interest me but like if I go to something like a short film, like I've been looking up of these independent filmmakers and they tell one different story to a next and they realize that they're not following the algorithm. They're not following a specific step. They're just like, hey, I want to make a story about something. And yes, I know it's not your typical popular YouTube videos that you watch, but it's a story nonetheless. And that's to me, that's a great thing to think about at the end of the day. Is like what makes you you, and like what would you present yourself if you could. Like
right.
I present myself in films. Like people would regard me as very chaotic because at every film process I've made, there's always been crazy stuff happening. Like we had like when there was this film I made with a comedy film, and there was this bee just following him around, just like it wasn't buzzing him away. It was just very still. It wouldn't move for anybody. And the thing is, that's also one of the cool things is like when you make films like that and you see these crazy moments, you get to have so much inspiration. Like you're never going to believe what just happened at this film set the other day, or you're never going to believe. It's just invites you to like share your story. It's not just like from your filmmaking or directing aspects, but also tells them in a story as like to people as well. Like I've told so many people like crazy stuff. Like I had a kid, like a kid from like that just wandered into my like tripod, and he was just playing with it, right? And when I saw that up and down, and I went up and I taught him how to like use the tripod. You just go up and down, and he was doing it. It was great. And then when the parent brought him back, it was like, oh, that's awesome. That's a great story. I can't wait to tell people outside of this. And even even in the bloopers, it's like it also captures like people when they're relaxed and people when they're hyped. Like that's also like it's just so I guess like you could say to people who are starting out, it's just find the story. Like stories are everywhere. Like anything that you've seen, everything you hear, like is very usable. Like I do definitely say that like from a experience itself, because it's just how I did. I usually just like wander and then something cool, something totally unique like happens in them, and I'm like, I'm gonna write that down. That's actually kind of cool. Like we'll put it in the back burner because it's like because it's not only am I capturing moments of people's lives, but I'm also capturing like what makes humans. And that's the thing about the world today, because while world's going crazy, but like you like when people are hype or people are just very upbeat, like I don't see anybody just paying attention to that. And I'm like, camera pointed this, and then just let people have fun,
Yeah. I can definitely understand that. What else you want to tell the people? And I know you mentioned something about a sponsorship. You got a sponsorship going on. Like, tell them what how to get involved.
Yeah. So I'm with this company called Film Crew. It's basically a company filled with filmmakers that will give you this attire, like sweatshirt and hoodies. It's usually about 30, $40, but with my code, it's like he's the best. It gives you like a 20% off discount. Cool. And even that too, I will be promoting this furthermore into my next film, which it will happen, I will say, in 2 weeks, possibly. Okay. But I can definitely say like that is definitely happening. Definitely like something that I have planned up. All I just need is like more preparation, and I will explore that story with you.
Yeah.
But that's so like I said before, this is all not just hoodies too. They also have hats, shorts, and also like when you get these like hoodies and shirts, not only do you feel the filmmaker attire, because I have met a couple of filmmakers with either hoodies or hats, so I definitely fit into that.
It's like a family. So it's like a family of filmmakers. Yeah, definitely. Tell the people how to get how to get to you if they're interested in maybe hiring you to do a movie for them and things like that. Like how can they get to you?
Yeah, so I have a Instagram. I call myself I am King Kong, but that name was kind of taken, so I decided to put a dot in there. So I am called Instagram is I am called I am King.Kong. I basically took that inspiration of King Kong because as the like from the beginning of the movie he's like small and relatively weak, but throughout the movies he's gotten bigger to the point where he can like people are talking about can he actually fight against Godzilla and win, you know? So
Right.
so I adopted that name and I put that on my Instagram. I also you can also hit me on my email. It's called Ethan I at fschs.org. It's my email I use to reach out to people. I also have a Snapchat. It's called Ethan underscore Irwin 24. And also two other things you can reach me out is I do have a YouTube channel under Ethan Irwin. Yep, with under 5,022 subscribers currently, and still counting.
Good.
And and also one other thing is like my Instagram DMs are open. So like if you do want to reach out to work, like you don't have to like realize like it's not private. So if you want to talk to me, talk to me. I'm always available.
Well, that's good. You know what I'm saying? You know, you always want to be available to be reached out to, in any way. You know, you never know what type of opportunities come your way. So make sure y'all tune in and where can they see some of your work? You know, is it on YouTube or are they able to go to a website?
It is on YouTube. I'm working on getting a website right now. I'm also am thinking of heavily of setting up a Twitch to premiere like my next film. Like not like because I realized when I'm making YouTube and I just premiere it, I don't get to engage with my audience like as soon like I remember I just discovered this too. It's like I posted that romantic comedy I mentioned like a couple weeks ago, and when I got out off of that and I done my upload, I'm like, I got to engage more, like not just like my videos engaged, but myself as well. So,
Right.
so I'm working out on how to use Twitch, like how to stream my videos and how to like publicly just like chill with my fans because, like I've said before, I wouldn't be where I am today without them, and I wouldn't be where I am without my friends and my family because like they've like worked really hard to like help my films, no matter how crazy it sounds or maybe how like chaotic it looks at times. So so that when I from that thought of that, it's just more like I got to like interact with them more because that's also one thing. One thing that I wish they had, it was like with filmmakers like us, it's great to have critique, good or bad, because it's better than no critique. You know, like like yes, you're gonna get bad critique. Like I've gotten pretty bad critique, but I also got good ones. But it's better because if you don't get anything, it's just like
nobody was paying attention. Right. Nobody's paying attention. Nobody's really. I mean, whether it's constructive criticism or not, right? The point is that they took the time out to give you some type of feedback about your work. You get what I'm saying? And it's up to you to take it and do something with it or not, right? So, but Ethan, I appreciate you, tuning in with us. You get what I'm saying? Letting people know how they can get to you and all that. You know what I mean? Any last words or anything shout outs you want to get to the people?
Actually I was gonna I was gonna mention this before, but like I was gonna give some special shout outs because like I've mentioned before, there's friends and family, like my parents have got like gave me some financial stuff before I got a job to support my film career, and I got like the ball rolling. But I also want to thank the special people that not only did like help me with every project I've been in, but they always like supported my career. They've always like said, "Hey, this is a story you sent me. Here's the problem with it," and I'm like it's the like community like aspect they gave me, and also like support as well. Like, hey, what's your next film coming out? What can I do to help? You know, like even if I don't have a particular film in mind, and I'm like, let me get back to you on that because it's just very important to me. So I want to shout out to one of my best friends, Devin. He was the one that really took it like to the next level. Like he's been in every single project I've been. He's been like very giving me feedback even when I couldn't. I do appreciate him heavily for it, and like I will be working with him again. Just in case people want to know. Also do want to thank also my friends Jared, Zach, and David. They've been in my crew like for the longest time. They've like even how chaotic or crazy it sounds, they've like found a way to make it work for me, and they've not only helped me direct, they also become second arms. And I guess one other shout out I could express is my also friend Haven. She definitely was the one that pushed my film so far. She went out there, like supported my dreams, and then even though she came to my uh, film I had at the movie theaters when I was 18, and because of her, like because of her support, it was the at most like surreal moment, like definitely what like people like that. And also one last one would be Andy, because like without the classroom, without him teaching me all the film techniques, all the how to make a story, how to write a story, how to like post to YouTube, how to make this like a career possible, this wouldn't have happened. Like he was like like without him, the foundation of filmmaking for me wouldn't have been discovered. It would have been like in my back burner. Like if I was here like without it, I'll be like, could I make films? But in this scenario with him, I'm confident I can make films. I'll continue to even make even more films and have a great like surge to make more because of what like friends I've mentioned to the teachers that not like even to this day, like I graduated I think 2021. Like I always go to Andy for consulting, like, hey, I got this cool camera technique I wanted to try out, and he would tell me, yeah, that could work, or no, it cannot work, or blah, blah. And even he gives me gear and half the time. So without his like teachings and stuff, I wouldn't be where I am today. So, like I've mentioned, my friends, family, people that really do deserve some credit out there. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
Definitely. Well, shout out to all of them, because without them supporting you, I mean, you wouldn't be able to realize, the talent that you have and really take it to another level. Much success to you. I know you're going to do some big, great things. Definitely proud of what you accomplished. I know you're going to accomplish more. And we'll talk to you soon. Shaw Cypher, Ethan, Irwin. Make sure y'all pay attention to what he got going on. And if you missed this, we'll hit the replay on YouTube. And then on top of that, hit the replay, and then we'll have the audio on iHeartRadio, Spotify, all that good stuff soon. And you'll see the clips on our Instagrams as well. So listen, Ethan, appreciate you. Talk to you soon. Have a great
as well.